maybe on a test that you did not have time for, with a friend or someone you love. An old boss allowed you to redeem yourself after completely bombing an interview. The person who gave me a second chance was my Aunt Rochelle. We call her Aunt Shell because that is exactly who she is to everyone. My aunt reflects a person that I admire and want to be like. She taught me generosity without the idea of getting anything in return, and paved the path because it was her doing the paving. Aunt Shell gave a voice to those who couldn't find their own, and sometimes it felt like she could read your mind. My aunt stepped in during a very difficult time during my life and went beyond the expectations one would find for their aunt. She is a role model and teacher, not just literally, but in the dynamics of the lessons in our lives. My aunt changed my life. When I was 11, my life completely changed. My father passed away when I was 6 years old due to drugs, and my parents weren't completely able to fulfill the roles that one is able to do for their child during these years of your life. My mother lost herself into my father's addiction at this time, and she was unable to be a mother. I completely felt as though no one was able to understand what I was going through at this time. Despite all of these hardships, there was one person who was constantly there. That person would be my Aunt Rochelle. She opened her front door to me every single weekend after my father passed away. I longed to be in a place that was so ordinary in my unordinary life. Every weekend manifested itself into it being me completely living with my Aunt Shell every day. My aunt was the first person to give me my own bed. Her act of kindness didn't come from a commitment she made herself. Her generosity came from a place of love. I owed my aunt nothing other than to just love her back. My aunt's generosity went far beyond materialistic things a child needs to grow. She did so much more for me than just give me a place to lay my head at night. My aunt was a figure and a role model in my life. She guided me through feeling the things that I endured as a child, because unfortunately my aunt related to these things as well. When I became a teenager, my aunt reminded me that having fun might be different for someone like me. When my friends were going out and experimenting with drugs and alcohol, my aunt reminded me that someone like me cannot have the same fun as my friends. I always kept what my aunt would be thinking in the back of my mind when I would go out and hang out with my friends. About 25% of teens and adults who tried drugs become addicted. Coming from two parents who are already addicted, my odds were about at 50% more likely to become an addict. I knew that I wanted to be better than the role models that I had growing up, so that meant adjusting who I seen as one. When seeking a role model, my aunt was the first person my eyes navigated to. As an adult, I felt very lost. I spent much of my youth feeling as though the adults who failed me would make the things right in my life, and my life would just go back to normal. When I officially became adult and those things didn't happen for me, I didn't know how to go about what I was feeling. I knew from a very early age what I wanted to do with my life. During these times of confusion and disappointment, I allowed life to progress without me. My aunt took notice on these things that I was feeling and supported me into my journey back to school. My aunt has been a teacher in Philadelphia for the last 20 years. This is my first semester back in college since graduating in 2020. I am here now pursuing to become a teacher. When you are in an environment that you do not feel safe in, it is especially important to use your voice. One of the greatest lessons that my Aunt Shell taught me was to always speak up for yourself. Using our voices is one of the most powerful things that we can do. If I had not used my voice 11 years ago to express how uncomfortable I was in my own home, I don't know where I would be today. When it comes to using our voices, it is sometimes difficult because we are afraid that someone isn't listening. My Aunt Shell was always listening. When people wrong you throughout your life, they sometimes live in a version in their head that makes them comfortable. This can feel invalidating and hurtful. I spent these last couple of years as a new adult learning to forgive people, but not forget the things that have happened to me. I used my voice to forgive. I used my voice to remind. I used my voice inside my head to make sure that I was okay. Some people might think that I've used my voice a little too much, but I couldn't disagree more. I hope that one day, when I become a teacher, I can help people use their voice and find their voice when they don't know how to. The older I have gotten, I have used my voice to help my aunt remind her to use the voice inside her head. I have always used my voice to thank her. To my aunt, I thank her for always being the person in my corner. I thank her for always shining a light on the path that I was always supposed to follow. I thank her for always shining the light on the things that I was supposed to see when I couldn't. I thank her for giving me the family and unconditional love that I always needed as a child. I thank her for giving me a reflection of a life that I want one day for my kids. I thank her for being a role model, and most importantly, I thank her for giving me a second chance at life.